Hello and welcome to the What the Nuck podcast, the podcast for Canucks fans. I'm your host, Ridey, alongside my good friend and co-host, Brabby. Well, Brabby,
No gunny today. Let's
no,
go. Here we go now.
this is going to be a great pod. No gunny today.
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
I'm going to keep saying this because they're still there, but the Canucks still sit atop of the NHL. Still first in the National Hockey League currently. They
By
just
3 points now.
Yeah, clear by 3 points. They're
Yeah.
they just finished, or they're going to be finishing off a little Eastern road swing here by doing a quick little pit stop in Chicago tomorrow on Tuesday. But yeah, we're going to recap the week that was, where the Canucks faced the Hurricanes, Bruins, Red Wings, and the Capitals. So yeah, first off, probably we're going to start off with the Canucks versus Hurricanes game, where Elias Lindholm made his debut
Yeah.
worthwhile, getting
Yeah.
2 power play tipping goals. What do you think about the guy's Lindholm's first game as a Canuck?
Man, I think can't ask for much more than that. He came in and he did what we fully expected him to do.
Yep.
We were on the Beerly Hockey podcast and they talked to us about it. And we kind of went in depth into the Lindholm trade and what he brings and stuff like that. So we've already talked about that, but he looked really good. They finally have that all-star guy who can also play the top power play. I do have to say though, I kind of wish they put him on the second power play just to give the second power play a little bit more juice, because I
Yep.
was a really big fan of Pius Suter on that top unit. But for when it comes to first games for a team, him and Kuzmenko battled it out, and Kuzi got a goal for the Flames, but Lindholm got 2 for the Canucks. So I think you just got to be happy.
100%. And I think that trade's going to work out for both teams. Like, it's going to suck,
Yeah.
but Kuzmenko's going to be potting some goals with the Flames. I know Lindholm has the early advantage, but something to closely monitor as we go along here.
They're both at 2.
They're both at 2. I didn't realize Kuzmenko scored another one. Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to kind of watch that, and I'm sure fans are going to be all over that, being like, as soon as Kuzmenko gets the third one, we stole that trade from you guys. You guys suck.
Yeah.
That's going to happen, but this game seemed like a really tight playoff game, to be honest. Actually, ever since the All-Star break, there hasn't been too many games, it seems like, that are hitting the over. Like, a lot of them now are like tight 1-goal, 2-goal games, and it's tightening up there, man. Playoff hockey is upon us very soon.
What do we have after this? 28 games left or something, or 29?
29,
right now?
yeah. 29, yeah.
29 games. That's wild. I saw a JPAT stat though that said after the Chicago game, Vancouver's 17 of their last 28 games are at home.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No,
that's going to be real nice.
It is, man. They've been thrown the ringer. I'm gonna ask you in a little bit here, but they've been through so many road trips now, and they've had 2 of the longest ones this season. They've handled themselves very well on the road, and they just come off of this all-star week, and myself included in this with Canucks fans, but we find ways to complain about this team when they lose 2 in a row, but they still haven't lost 3 in a row yet, Pravi. They have not lost 3 games in a row this season.
That's unbelievable.
I can't even wrap my head around that. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I remember last year and the year before when the thought of winning 2 in a row for this team was impossible. And now
that was our Stanley Cup, Pravi.
Yeah, two games in a row against Arizona, and then a miraculous we'd beat oh man, this just drove me nuts. We'd beat Colorado, and then we'd lose to the Coyotes.
Yeah.
It's what are you doing? But man, the turnaround from last season and just the consistency this team's showing is just absolutely absurd.
Oh, exactly. And there's some issues and flaws in their game right now that we're gonna break down here in a second. But this team's technically, you could say, slumping right now, but they're 7-1-3 while they're slumping. So I don't really know. Dude, if that's a slump, I'm gonna take that every day of the week.
They're 7-1-3, 2-1-1 on this road trip so far.
Yeah.
I think a 2-1-2 I'm happy with. It's the Blackhawks. I'll be honest. I expect a 3-1-1, but a 2-1-2 and then you're just at home for the remainder of the season for the most part. I think the next like biggest road trip they would have would be like a 3 game stint or something like that,
Yeah,
or
I believe
maybe like a 2
California
game
or
stint.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like this team, they do seem a little bit fatigued.
Yeah.
They went crazy in the Carolina game. That was such a good game. It was so good. It was just two teams battling it out, but it kind of showed in the Boston game, if I'm being honest. Like,
Yeah, quickly before we get to the Boston game, I just wanted to make note of, Miller's game-winning goal in the Carolina game. That's his first gimme of the week. Okay?
oh, I don't even remember his goal. Oh, I do. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they, misplay behind the net, and he just got a freebie basically, but he gets another one, as we talk about, the game in Washington yesterday. Hey, moving on to the Bruins game here, like you said, where they lost to a score of 4 to nothing. Just I saw that score. I got home a little bit late, so I joined the game like halfway through the second, and I was just after the final PTSD,
Familiar.
man. That
Yeah,
that just hurt to look at.
yeah.
Um, but this game, the Canucks just didn't have it. They looked like they were struggling to find their legs, and they just threw out a stinker, really. Um, the first goal, which this has kind of seemed like a little bit of a problem here because in the Carolina game, Martinook gets a shorthanded goal against the Canucks power play, and then in this one, just over 30 seconds in, Marchand gets the first goal of the game, and it's a shorthanded one at that.
Yeah.
And Demko like rims it around the boards, gets a Charlie Coyle. Coyle just sends it over. But like the Canucks players are just watching, man. Like it
Mhm.
was just total laziness, like laxy daisy on the power play. I was a little peeved off to see the way like that happened or that came to fruition for them.
Yeah. It seems, yeah, they've just been so lazy on the power play. Even some of their ozone like passing and stuff like that just looks way too lazy. It's like they go out there and they're like expecting themselves to score. Like, yeah, our power play's sick. Like we know we're gonna score, and then
Yeah.
it never works out like that way. And then I think it was Charlie Coyle who had the second power or shorthanded goal.
No, it was Danton Heinen.
Danton Heinen. So when you look at the replay on that one, um,
Yeah.
Danton Heinen is there's the blue line, then there's Hughes and Pedersen, and then a little bit further in, there's Danton Heinen. There's
Yeah.
no way he should be getting a breakaway from that. Like you have
No,
two guys at the blue line, you should not be giving up a breakaway for that. And
he's
go ahead.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like Danton Heinen just like split the Red Sea. Like they just gave him way too much of a gap in the middle. He just took all his free space and he
Mhm.
ends up scoring on Demko. And it's like, how did they not see that he was gonna go in for a skate? Like they were again just puck watching and being like, oh, like yeah, like he's probably just gonna dump it in, and he just kept going.
It looked lazy. Like
Yeah,
how we were saying it, if you like rewatch it, Hughes and Petey on that just look lazy because I think both of them are sitting there thinking that the other guy is going to get back, and that's the
yeah,
last place you want to be at the blue line is the other guy's going to get
exactly.
back. And then when as soon as they realize, oh, maybe the other guy's not getting back, then Petey puts on the afterburners. But by that point, it's just too late. Like Heinen's already gone.
Yeah. And in this game, you could just see the way it was just that kind of a night for Pedersen. He just had a bunch of misplays. His line wasn't doing too hot, and he was a -4 for the night. And that just made Talkett bench him for a considerable chunk of the second period. And this is one positive out of this game where, and it's been a positive for a while now here, but I think he was playing Garland and Joshua and and Bluger. I think he was triple shifting those guys. I don't think I saw them step off the ice for like 5 minutes in a row. Those guys were still pushing back and trying to make something out of nothing. It just wasn't working for the Canucks this game, and they end up losing to a score of
Yeah,
four zip.
and then you know, like coming back from 2 goals in this league is like you see that all the time, but those 2 goals in 15 seconds, I think it was to start the third period or the second period or whatever it was, just
Yeah, it was second period.
backbreaking. Like
Yeah.
at that point, I just was just like, man, they're not coming back. Like it's over, and it's a one off. I'm gonna put it up there as like a one off. Like every team has one of these stinkers. It's just how the NHL
Yep.
works. That's
Well,
just the way it
yeah,
goes.
perfect example of how the NHL works. Bruins shut out the Canucks at a score of 4 to nothing. Next night, they're playing against the Capitals, and lo and behold, the Capitals shut out the Bruins 3-0.
Yeah.
So it does
And
happen.
then the following
Um,
day, Vancouver beats the Capitals. Like,
yeah, I
it's
know.
just
It was
how
just an
hockey
absolute
works. Hockey's the worst sport to bet on because you never know what's going on.
yeah. I was gonna ask you though, like, yeah, we could chalk it up to being just a write off for Vancouver because it's been such a big matchup. Like, there's been a few games in particular that I've like circled on my calendar that I was excited for, like the very first game against Toronto in Toronto, this game, I believe, New Jersey game, and the Vegas game at the start of the
Mhm.
year. These are all games that I like circled, and I was like, oh, these will be really good games to test how we fare against these teams, right? And it seems like the ones I handpicked, like they've lost every one,
Yeah.
and it kind of makes me question at least, like, oh, do you think like this club can participate or compete in the big games and the big stages against top teams like the Bruins and those teams I just mentioned?
I'll tell you what, they can definitely participate. I don't know if they can compete.
Yeah,
Um,
fair enough.
I think maybe the group is still very unexperienced. Um,
Yep.
maybe it does get to them. Maybe like
Hmm.
like not bothers them, but maybe it is like another mental tick that they need to like overcome.
Yep.
Um, I just think that if they can figure it out by playoffs, I'm fine with it. I don't really obviously you want to beat the Bruins or you at least want to put up a good fight against the Bruins and the Leafs game I'm okay with how they played the first one just cuz at the end of the day they beat them in the second one and the Vegas game. We can say that they don't show up for these big games, but some of these redemption games, like the second game against New York, they absolutely dominated. The
Yep.
second game against the Devils, they absolutely dominated. It sucks that we haven't played the Golden Knights just yet, but
Sense. Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, it's like what you just listed off is like four losses, and obviously those four losses would be nice, or four wins out of those losses would be nice. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the season's going so good to the point that like I'm okay. Like we can lose to them, but just don't make it a habit, because
Yeah.
playoffs, it's not like every ninth game is like against a big name team or a big team. Every game one, first round, that's the biggest game of your life right there.
Yeah.
Start playing like it. That's just the way it goes.
100%. And you know what? Like, if you're, let's say hypothetically, they're playing one of these teams or whatever that I mentioned, right? It's one game. This team has shown that they can bounce back and go up against adversity. They haven't lost more than three in a
Yeah.
row, So, like, yeah, like, I'm going to tack it to they had an off night. I don't want to see Pedersen play like that. Um,
Ever again.
you know, ever again. Yeah, yeah. And again, he's a star player. He's allowed to have his off nights. The one thing that like irks me a bit is like, yeah, you know what? I've been critical of like Pedersen's game before and being like, hey, he's got to try a little bit harder there and stuff. Like, um, this was just straight up not his night,
Mhm.
and yeah, it just seemed like it wasn't anybody's night. So, like this one, people were dogging on him, saying like, oh, is he worth the $12 million? And it's like you're basing it off of one game when this guy consistently gets points.
Yeah.
He's actually a point magnet. The next game against the Red
Yeah.
Wings, he gets three points, 1 goal, 2 assists.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I just sometimes the criticism on him can be a little harsh if he doesn't produce. He gets no points. People I think dog on him like crazy, but
Mhm.
yeah, I agree with you. I think this is just one game. The boys have shown they could bounce back in the rematches against these teams, and if they're able to do that, then they can compete.
Yeah.
They just have to have the right mindset, like you said, going into these games.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, everybody loses to everybody. That's just the way NHL
Exactly.
works. So, um, moving on to the Detroit game, I'm assuming.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Detroit Rock City, baby. Yeah, the Canucks. Little recap of the score here: lost to the Gritty,
Oh,
courtesy of Jake
I
Wallman.
actually have something to say about that,
Four
but
to three OT
I'll
loss.
say it at the end.
Yeah, we'll
Oh,
we'll, we'll get to that
yeah,
here.
we'll say it at
All
the end.
right, would you want to say it right now?
No, no, I think it's more of a I'll say it and then move on to the next game, and we'll quickly just go over what happened in the Wings game because it was a lot for a 10:30 a.m. game or
Yep.
10 a.m. game. There's a lot going on. Lot of storylines.
This game had a lot of storylines. This game had a playoff atmosphere to it. The crowd was into it. I really liked watching this game.
Mhm.
Entertainment value off the charts. It was amazing. Again, Canucks have the trouble or the pleasure of getting scored on first. They've been
Yeah.
scored on first, by the way, Brabby.
6.
6 times in a row now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lucas Raymond makes quick work of Tyler Myers, and 45 seconds in, he gets his 14th of the year. That was you just break that one or chalk that one down to getting beat there, and DeSmith doesn't really have a chance on that because it just happened so fast.
Mhm.
But Canucks are down 1-0 in the first early.
I I so my dad got a flat tire. So I
Yeah,
actually missed like a good chunk of this game because I was out helping him. But I just remember like 20 minutes like after 10 a.m. I remember going to Twitter
yeah,
and all literally everything I saw was Myers, Tyler Myers, what are you doing? What is that?
yeah.
I was like, what did he do? And then I saw the replay. And at that point, I've never been so like, all right, we should trade this guy. Like, obviously, it was an over exaggeration on my part, but man, did he get absolutely done up. Like, that's some NHL 24 level stuff. Like, he got
Yeah.
cooked, man.
He got cooked. Yeah, it was a tough look. Like people have been, he was a whipping boy this weekend for
Oh,
sure. People
yeah.
were not having it for Tyler Myers. But yeah, anyways, yeah, Canucks are down 1-0 early. Also, mechanic jolt in full effect, eh?
Yeah, I know,
Changing
right?
the tires and all.
Hey, here we
That's
go now.
awesome.
No, I called
Yeah.
BCAA. I'll be honest. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. It's,
You should have called me,
at
man.
least too cold. What's the point of having BCAA if you're not going to use it? That's the way I see it.
Actually, quick story for you. When I was like working with my dad and we were like logging, he had to get this like this DeWalt gun
Hmm.
because we got I think 14 flat tires in a summer.
Oh my
Like we
god.
were changing them like we were NASCAR people, man. Like we were the pit crew. We were going so fast. So I'm pretty good at it if you ever need a hand.
Oh, bet.
Um anyways, early in the second period, Niels Hoglander, who like we were gonna talk about there, he got promoted to the top six with Pedersen, and it's just paying dividends, man.
Yeah,
So far it's only been 2 games, but he gets his 15th of the year, and it still boggles my mind, man, that this guy has 15 goals this year with the deployments he's had.
yeah,
He's been scratched a couple of games. He's been pretty much staple on the fourth
yeah,
line. He gets no power play minutes. This is all 5-on-5 goals.
yeah. He's killing it, and it's nice to see him on Pedersen's wing now. I honestly
Yeah.
think that that could be a good line, and I think it's going to be really good for Hoaglander's development. Even if he goes through a stint where he has like one or two not the best games on that line, I just hope Talkett gives him a little bit of a leash.
100%. You know what? He's a young player. He's going to make the odd mistake here and
Mhm,
there. Don't bench him for the mistake because this is the kind of player, man, when he's ticking, like these last 2 games in particular against Detroit and Washington.
mhm.
He is a buzzsaw to play against. He gets under opponent's skin, and he forechecks the way DiGiuseppe did for when he was on Miller and Besser's line at the start of the year.
Yeah,
And that's exactly what PD needs. PD needs someone to go into the boards and battle with so he can get the puck to PD, or they can get it to a finisher on their line in if it's Pia Suter or Lindholm or what have you. But
yeah.
I think this is the perfect complement to Pedersen's wing.
I agree. Hoaglander's just that buzzsaw. He'll do everything, and he's
Yeah.
so skillful. Like it's ridiculous the amount of skill that guy
Yeah.
oozes, and just oh, that's
Yeah. No, he was incredible, man.
yeah,
Um, yeah, this game, like you said, full of storylines and stuff here. So, in the second period, Lucas Raymond was like
got shot.
Canucks enemy number one, but yeah, our public enemy number one. But Zadorov, he goes for a hit on Lucas Raymond to kind of like stop him before he gets into the blue line, and unfortunately, because Zadorov is 6'8", he goes to duck down. I don't think there was any intent for him to hit Raymond in the head. It did happen though. Was a headshot. It looks like their helmets collided too. It was a shoulder to head on head collision.
Yeah,
Raymond goes down. They gave Myers, or sorry, not Myers. They gave Zadorov a major right away, ejected him from the game,
yeah.
and we found out later that he had a hearing, and now he has a 2-game suspension. Do you think this is the right call that the league made for Zadorov?
Yeah, I don't, accidental or not, it's still head contact. I get it. Probably should have given him 3 because now he will be back for the game against Detroit on Thursday. But
Yeah,
uh, yeah,
revenge game.
revenge game. I'm okay with it. Maybe he'll be a little bit more careful next time, but I'm actually not too mad at like the hit either. Especially going into playoffs, like you want that. You want guys to think that like if you go up the middle of the ice, like you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know Zadorov's history as far as suspensions. For some reason, I want to say he's gotten one before,
I can check it for you.
but yeah, maybe give a quick check there. But I don't know, man. The contact was at the head. Their helmets collided though. Like, and Zadorov did try to avoid it. Again, he is just that tall, and unfortunately, that did happen. Um, but the thing is Raymond came back. Like, I don't even think Raymond missed a beat. Like, he was back in the game, ready to go.
He
And
he got up like, well, the way he went down was just so dramatic. Like
yeah,
he slid on his knees for like 2 3 seconds and then fell to the ice. And I just he definitely
yeah.
milked it, which is like obviously what you want your player to do in that situation. But I still think it's dumb.
That's that's what I had a bit of a problem with though, is he went down like that, and then he was back fully healthy, like ready to go and try to help the Wings score in a 5-minute major, right?
Hmm.
That's where I have a tough time with it. Like, yeah, suspension worthy, sure. Like, 2 games is like the most I'd want to see out of this. I still didn't really agree with it too much, to be honest. But it is what it is. He will finish his suspension here, and yeah, he'll be back after the Chicago game Thursday and versus Detroit, like we were talking about. But yeah, so Vancouver, they go on this 5-minute major penalty. They kill this one off. Then immediately after, they have to kill another 2 minutes. So they basically killed 7 minutes of penalty, right?
Yeah.
And shout out to Dakota Joshua, man. This is some of the best penalty killing I've ever seen. The Canucks killed the whole 7 minutes off, which is just incredible. Out from the box on the second penalty because Roenick tried to clear the puck. He swung his stick like a baseball bat, ended up hitting Larkin right in the face. That was pretty tough to watch. Follow through or not,
That one also added
you got
fuel
to.
to the fire. That one really made
Yeah,
him
it
mad.
definitely did. Um, anyways, it's a penalty. Canucks kill it off, and they clear it to none other than former Detroit Red Wing Philip Roenick, who does the paralyzer, fakes the shot,
Yeah.
and scores on Alex Lyon, who was lying on his ass after that one. Absolute incredible, like unreal goal by Roenick. Um, and then I might have like missed this event. It might have been a little bit before, but I think it could have been after. Anyways, Ian Cole fighting Mr. Alex DeBrincat.
That just I don't understand where that one came from. And DeBrincat got his face caved in. DeBrincat
Yeah,
wasn't even
I
close in that one.
that yeah, this game had some spunk to it. Both teams were not having a good time with one another. Um, that was funny too because DeBrincat was like throwing these like soft little punches, like feeling shit out,
Mhm.
and then immediately Cole's like, "Okay, I guess I'll give him a couple punches and show him what's up." And he rocked him with an uppercut, hit him again
Yeah.
with an overhand, and then he just had his hand out there like Muhammad Ali,
Yeah.
man. Like, you know what? I'll let this guy live today.
Yeah. Yeah, he mollywopped him. Like it was I there was like a freeze frame of it and just the uppercut when it connects and then when like the next frame was like DeBrincat's hair just all up in the air, just flying around. I'm like, oof,
Yeah.
damn, all right.
Uh, Um, but yeah, no, and then Pedersen right after Roenick, basically 2 minutes later, he pots his 28th of the year. Uh, PD has 3 points on the night at this point. There's crickets for
Roenick has
how
three
bad of
points
a
as well.
player he is. Yeah, Roenick had 3 points in this game too.
Yeah.
Shout out to my fantasy team. Thank you, Roenick. Um, yeah, and then we go into the third period. Canucks up 3-1, and it looks like they're ready to close this one out. Kind of like
Hmm.
they have a outstanding record going into the third, holding a lead. I believe they're 29-0-1. Um, anyways, they start off again, more penalty trouble. Daniel Sprong gets a goal, makes it 3-2.
Hmm.
And 5 minutes later, they tie it up. Michael Rasmussen. And yeah, this game was just chippy. Like every whistle,
Yeah.
there was always something. And like I thought DeSmith. What do you think about DeSmith's play in this game? By the way, did you think he had just an okay night, or do you think he was kind of shafted in the way this one ended?
Uh, from the parts that I watched, like I think he played fine. Um,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it's a team game, and the team collapsed in
yeah.
front of him. So yeah.
No, that's fair. Um, yeah, 'cause this happened in the Washington game as well. Actually, pretty much identical play, just different results, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But in the overtime, Hughes loses his man behind him, like
Oh
in overtime, 3-on-3. Gives Wallman a breakaway. Wallman gets cross-checked, which I don't really know. That was a pretty soft call. Like it should
yeah,
be a penalty still, but I'm pretty sure the cross-check that Elise Pettersson received from Braden Shen in OT against St. Louis,
yeah,
that was a bit harder than this one that
yeah,
Hughes gave.
yeah.
They give him a penalty shot right away. And yeah, Wallman walks down onto Smith, snipes it, and you could talk about this now. He
I,
pulls a gritty on
well,
him.
I want to ask you: do you have a problem with the gritty?
No, I think it's good for the league, but it really made me mad watching it happen to our club.
Yeah.
Okay, I was livid,
My thing,
but it's good for the game. I
yeah.
think it's good to show personality.
My thing is, I'm all for it. Don't you dare
Yeah,
do that against my team, though. You know,
yeah, yeah.
respect the code,
Like,
and the code thing. It still exists. I'm all for it. Like, I think it's the NHL needs more like references to like pop culture and stuff like that, like present
yeah,
day
yeah.
stuff. I just wish it wasn't the gritty because if I'm being completely honest, that's one of those things that just does not look good on skates.
No, it really does. Like, there's so many. Have you ever seen the moonwalk celly on skates?
No.
Oh, it's electric. It looks so
See,
good, man.
like some that I
Um,
could see, but like seeing NBA players do the
yeah,
gritty, it looks sick. Seeing a hockey
yeah,
player on skates who's he's not really doing it properly, it doesn't look as
yeah.
cool. I'm like, but like I'm in the same boat. I'm all for it. Like the gritty,
Yeah.
do your thing, man. Do your thing. But I hope you get your face caved in on Thursday.
Yeah.
Respectfully, right?
But, like, yeah, I don't know. It's tough because hockey's never really had this kind of culture. It's like slowly developing,
Yeah.
and people are starting to, say what they mean to say, say it with their chest. Like this is the first time in a long time that like NHL players have personalities, or at
Yeah.
least a few of them do now. And it's cool to see because you don't see it that often though. Like seeing the gritty,
Mhm.
I thought it was quite cringy. That was my initial reaction. I was like, "Oh my god, like what is this? Like we're losing to a guy that's doing a Fortnite dance on my team?"
Yeah.
like,
He does it a
you know,
lot too.
uh
Like
yeah,
he
if it's
does
a
it a lot.
signature thing, like go for it. It's just yeah, hockey night in Canada. It was on a big stage. Detroit was bumping, and he's pulling it off. Like I don't know, it was. I don't. I haven't seen it done on my team, so
Mhm.
maybe that's why I was a little bit more irked than normal. But
I'm okay,
um,
like we're saying, I'm okay with it. Just don't do it to my
yeah,
team. I don't want to see
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's dumb, and I'm sick
To
of
be
you. And
fair,
now you're my. I hate you the most.
yeah.
That's just the way it goes.
To be fair, Dismiss should have stopped it then if we didn't want it, or Quinn Hughes
That's
should have
yeah.
back checked
No,
properly.
that's fair.
Actually, Quinn Hughes should have back checked properly. I can't blame that one on Smith. Um, yeah, okay. That was basically the Detroit game. I was in shambles after that one.
Yeah,
I like these matinee games, but man, if they lose, day chalked.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and the Canucks, their last game, or not last game of the road trip, sorry, but the last game of the week
Penultimate
was
game of the
against,
road trip.
yep, a 3-2 overtime win
Yeah,
against the Washington Caps. This game also had a little bit of spunk as
yeah,
well. Very high energy. Man, there was a point within the third period, I think there was like no stoppages for like 5 minutes. It was back and forth action. Saw someone tweet that the Canucks are playing really good in their zone, and then they were playing like there was a fire drill happening. It was like one of the two. Those are the two versions of the Canucks you got.
yeah.
And Shorthouse was just killing the commentary, man. Back and forth. Like it was really exciting. He was again, Shorthouse is the best in the business.
Mhm.
So shout out to Shorthouse. Um yeah, in this game, Ovi keeps his goal streak alive. I'll say that. Do you think he's going to beat it still? Gretzky?
Oh
Is he
yeah,
coming after
oh
it?
yeah, oh yeah.
Is it back on? Yeah.
It was never off. Like people need to understand, he will play 3,000 games if he has to beat that record. And
Yeah, he will for
the
sure.
Caps are gonna keep icing him until he beats that record because there's no way, like, he can become the most terrible player in the league, right? And he's still
Yep.
gonna be in the league. Like, he could be
Oh
AHL
yeah.
caliber because if for some godforsaken reason the Capitals go out and say, "Hey man, like you're really bad now, and we don't want you like on the roster. We're trying to
Yeah.
win a cup." You know how many
Yeah.
teams are gonna give him like 4 mil? Just be like, "Yeah, just break the record in our jersey," because that's just how it's gonna he's gonna break it, and I'm excited because I think once he breaks it, that record's not being broken for a while.
Hmm.
Maybe a guy like Matthews might break it, but I think he still makes it. I think he's gonna play till he does it, and I'm all for it.
Yeah. To me, I don't think he has the same like second wind as like a Yarmir Yager type,
Mhm,
but I think he can play as long as Yarmir Yager can,
mhm.
just because of the incentive to get the goal title, obviously, right?
What's he away? He's like
Um,
60 goals away or something? 64?
yeah, yeah, I think 61 or 60. I can't remember the exact number.
Here's the thing, right?
Um,
He's gonna score.
yeah,
Oh, we'll say he goes on a heater to end the year and he scores like 13 goals, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
then we're at 49 Hill. Man, Alex Ovechkin, age 37, whatever he is, 38, puts up a 50 goal season. I'm for it. Next season, he's gonna do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm cheering for him, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool. Um,
Do you would you
yeah,
would hold on,
so
would you be okay with it happening against the Canucks?
all of those like milestone goals probably happen against Vancouver, so I wouldn't expect it any other
But
way.
goal like what is it? Goal 894, right?
Yeah.
He's at 893. Oh, no, he's at 892, and then he scores in the Canucks game to tie the record, and then he scores
Mhm.
to break the record.
Yeah,
I'd be all for
I'm
it.
down.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah,
As long as they lose, I'm down with that.
yeah. Okay, let's get into this game here. First period, once again, Vancouver lets up the first goal in early fashion. Minute and 8 seconds in, Nick Dowd scores. Former Canuck Nick Dowd, that is.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, it's just Vancouver. Like, it's not that they don't have the legs; they're just like asleep at the wheel at the start of the game,
Yeah.
and then they awake, and then they're okay after that. Um, yeah, Garland, by the way, not just Garland. Garland scores a nice goal here, but Julesen's breakout pass to Garland for the breakaway. Got to put some respect on Noah Julesen's name. I gotta admit, man, I did not think he would be this good. Like, he's developed perfectly. Like this coaching system with like Adam Foote, Sergey Gonchar, Rick Tocchet, like they like, I know Myers has had a couple of tough games here, but like Juleson to come into like the player that he is today, uh Myers improving a bit there too after they like kind of shortened his ice time a bit. Like,
Mhm.
they've just done a great job with this decor managing, like they haven't had crazy injuries, but managing injuries with like Susie, and like it's been incredible.
Yeah. I love Noah Juleson.
So,
It's my
yeah,
it's my guy right there.
you were the that's your guy.
It's my
Yeah,
guy right there.
story of the year.
Yeah. Hey, I wasn't the only one. I
Uh,
checked. I was on Twitter, and a lot of people were saying like, "Yeah, like Besser's great, but if we're going for an unorthodox one, like Noah Juleson's like redemption has been my favorite thing
yeah,
this year." And I'm like, facts,
yeah,
queen, let's go.
um, yeah. So that was the scoring in the first. Second period, as we talked about, Ovechkin gets his 13th of the year. Hoglander more tucks than him,
Who would have guessed
and
that? Jeez.
yeah. Anyways, speaking of Hoglander, Hoglander gets his 16th of the year. Responds right after they're announcing the Ovechkin goal. Beautiful goal
Yep.
too. Pedersen, nice drop pass to him. Hoglander comes into the zone, and I think I was wondering why, like how this goal came to be, because I was like, why didn't like Kemper hug the post? You know what I think? I think Kemper thought he was going to go behind the net, and he was like prepping to make a push to go to that side.
Hmm.
But then when Hoglander he pretty much got to the goal line, he just shoveled it top
Yeah.
right with a backhand, and it was just a beautiful shot.
Hoglander also
Um,
made a cut that made it look like he might go just like across the goalie because he did have the space to go across, and I think most players would try to go across.
yeah,
So
It was just interesting. I just thought that was like I thought Kemper would have had that, to be honest, but yeah, that was just a nasty, nasty goal by Hoagland.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't watch this game,
yeah,
so I don't know too much. I know like the goals and that's about
it's
it.
all good, man. Um, yeah, no, it was a crazy game for the Washington Capitals. Connor McMichaels was having a
McMichael.
monster game. He didn't McMichael, sorry, my bad. Um, yeah, he was having a crazy game for the Capitals. Like he was in on everything, like getting shots on net, driving play for them, like getting really good chances. And when the overtime hit, Capitals were all over the Canucks. Canucks were kind of like scrambling, and I was like, "Oh my god, we're gonna
Yeah.
lose the third one in a row, basically." And McMichael had a 2-on-1, I believe. Oh, actually, at the start, sorry, I'm all over the place here with this game. At the very start, same play I was talking about with the Detroit game. Hughes lets his man go behind him, breakaway. Connor McMichael,
Yeah.
robbed by Demko. Demko had a crazy sequence too in the third. I know he said you haven't like seen too much of this game. You should just watch the highlights because I'm sure they'll have the Demko highlights in there. He was electric.
Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah. So then, what's it called? Demko again standing on his head. Another 2-on-1, and again against McMichael, Demko says no once again, like going like flying butterfly, falling down with his glove by his helmet, robs him,
Yeah.
goes back the other way. I don't know. Canucks really weren't in this overtime up until they got an absolute gimme for none other than the guy that got one early in the week against Carolina, Timothy
Yeah.
Miller.
I saw that one.
And yeah, and it's so funny, man. Like the hockey gods sometimes just do some mysterious things in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
He gets that absolute gimme after him and Besser have not really been playing really well this road trip. And his celebration wasn't anything. He just started laughing. He just couldn't believe he got that puck.
Yeah.
And it was just such a good way to end off a little Washington road swing there.
Yeah. 2-1-1. Like I said, 3-1-1. That's what I expect. 2-1-2. I guess I'll swallow it. Like it is what
Yeah,
it is.
it's it's an okay road trip. It's their last Eastern Road swing. They're coming back home here soon. They just got one more trip out, like I said, to or one more stop, sorry, on this trip to Chicago,
Yeah.
which is tomorrow. Um, yeah, Zadorov would not be in that game. I don't know if we did we mention the Carson Soucy injury at the start of the podcast. I don't think I did. I
Not
think I jumped right
really,
into
but
it.
it ties in with the Jet Woo thing. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so Carson Soucy suffered a setback in his injury, and the Canucks recalled Jet Wu from the Abbotsford Canucks, which is a great story. This guy struggled to have a bit of an identity with the previous regime
Hmm.
on defense. I believe they were playing him at wing at one
Yeah.
point.
It's
So for him to
ridiculous. A defensive defenseman at wing.
yeah, just nightmare fuel.
Oh,
Like I don't even know who the past regime was. Like they like the stuff they did was just insane.
ridiculous.
But yeah, for him to, I think he's 5 points from his career high, from what I saw, and he's having a really good year down in Abbotsford this year. Apparently, he's been a little bit of a leader for the other Abbotsford Canucks players, and yeah, just a nice story. I don't know if he'll get any games because, like, they brought up Friedman and stuff, but maybe like a maintenance day for one of the other defensemen, he might get a game. And if he does, that's awesome, and I really hope he
I
does.
mean, play him against Chicago, if I'm being honest. Friedman,
Yeah, see what you,
from what it seems like, Friedman didn't really stick out too much on the
yeah,
on the game against the Caps. So I'm all for Jet Woo. I love Jet Woo. He's been in the organization for a while, and they gave him like plenty of time to season and develop. But you do have to sort of look at it as in like, if he does end up getting into a game here, it is kind of make it or break it for him. He's got to have a good showing.
he wants it. Yeah, you want to make sure he has a good impression. I don't think it's make it or break it for him. I know he's a little bit older. He might have to go to a different club to maybe get that opportunity that you're talking about.
Well, yeah,
But
yeah, but I mean, like, make or break for the Canucks here with him, just because it's been
oh,
so
I see. Yeah,
long. Like,
it has. Yeah,
he's been getting talked about for quite some time, and he's having a really good season in Abbey. And I fully believe in this guy. And I
yeah.
hope he does get a chance to show what he's got, especially because you're playing the Blackhawks. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Jet Woo.
By the way, not on my bingo card to have Jet Wu playing a game after Jack Rathbone has been here for so long. I know Jack Rathbone's gone now, but The fact that Jet Wu's still here and he's gonna be playing in the game after the fact is just wild to me. Um,
Jack Rathbone.
yeah, a
Gee.
little throwback there for Canuck fans. Um, yeah, I wanted to get your take on this like last little bit. It's a bit of NHL news,
Yeah.
really. Um, yeah, it's been the talk of talk of the weekend,
The
really,
slap shot
after the
heard
Super Bowl,
around the
obviously.
hockey world is what people are calling it.
Yeah. So Ottawa Senators are the 28th place team in the National Hockey League, going against the wild card Leafs team, who should be winning this game.
Facts. Yeah.
They are not, because they have Martin Jones in net, and they only get scoring from the top six. Anyways, at the end of the game, it's 4-3 Senators, empty net. Ridley Grigg, is that his name? Ridley Grigg or Greg?
Greg. Ridley Greg.
Ridley Gregg, sorry. Thank you. He has a breakaway and he doesn't just, put it in the net like most hockey players do. He puts a clap bomb in and it's, you know what? The Rockstar zone is behind the goal line. That's a Rockstar zone. What he just
That
did,
was a rock
that's
star,
Rockstar.
yeah.
Yeah. So he does this, and lazy back checker Morgan Riley is, watching this happen, and
Lazy
then
backchecker.
and
Guys
he
got
looks at this.
guys got a empty net breakaway, and you're mad Morgan Riley didn't backcheck.
No, I'm not mad at Morgan Riley. I'm just saying, like, hey man,
That's
like
so
if you're
funny.
gonna
That is so funny.
just listen, hear me out, hear me out. Okay.
Guys got an empty net breakaway with 5 seconds left, and you're saying lazy backchecker Morgan Riley.
Hey, he's not playing. He's not playing a full 60, is he?
That's ridiculous.
Anyways, yeah, Morgan Riley sees that, doesn't like what he sees, decides to greet Ridley Gregg with a nice little "How do you do?" And by that I mean he cross checks him right in the head,
Mhm.
side of the head,
Yeah.
and yeah, chaos ensues. Prabby, what are your thoughts on this situation here? And do you think Ridley Gregg did anything wrong? You think Morgan Riley did anything wrong? What's your take?
I think you got to lock both of them up and throw away the key. Both, like what they did was criminal, like both of them. But the Ridley Gregg one, like once again with the whole Grady thing, I'm all for it, man. Give me some feeling.
Yeah. Mhm.
Morgan Riley, I understand, like 100%. He should have. If he dropped his glove and just started punching him, I think like we don't even talk about this. We're like fair enough. The cross check to the face is way too much,
Yeah.
right? Like
So I think, yeah, I think your take is pretty much what is standard. I have no problem with Ridley Gregg
no,
taking that
absolutely not.
clapper. Again, league needs more personality. I think it's fucking hilarious that he took a clap bomb from there. And also, the hockey guy brought up a great point.
Mhm.
Okay, you know what he said in his video on the recap? He said that a lot of guys, when they go to shoot for the empty net, it's always like laxy daisy, like the Canucks power play has been lately,
Mhm.
right? And letting the shorthanded goals in, they're kind of just lazy with the puck and like the way they pass it. He said, like, these guys with empty nets, like they should just drill it. Make sure it goes into the net. Don't just like give me a little saucer pass that might hit the post and be icing,
Mhm.
you know? And I thought that was a great point. I know really Greg is showboating a little bit here, and that's why Morgan Riley gets his wires crossed. And I don't think it's a problem for Riley to like lose it here.
Mhm.
Keep your stick down. Don't like hit him in the head. Like that's just boneheaded at that point. And you got to realize like the repercussions too. You're the best Toronto Maple Leaf defenseman.
Mhm.
After you, like who's going on there? Like Matt LaJoy, uh,
Benoit.
what's his name? Benoit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Benoit. You got Giordano, Brody. Like there's nobody having a good Leaf season on defense outside of him. Now you're going to be suspended for 5+ games, probably.
Mhm.
Like what are you thinking? Like this is like crucial Leafs games, by the way. Like they're not going to have their number one defenseman for 5 games. Like that could make or break like where they're going to be in the standings by the next 2 weeks here.
Yeah. I like the response was wrong from Riley. He should have went at it another way, like you're saying. I agree, but it's
Yeah,
funny to me because i- if I feel like if they were playing, if the Senators were playing any other team, Ridley Gregg wouldn't have done that. It's just because it's the
probably
Leafs.
not. They got a bit of a
Yeah,
rivalry. Yeah,
like think about how many Leafs fans are in that building. It was in
yeah,
Ottawa, and think about how many Leafs fans are there. So that was probably like a big like screw you, I'm over you. Uh,
yeah.
Seeing Twitter the last couple days since it happened has been pretty jokes. I'm not gonna lie. Leafs fans are going
Yeah,
at Sens fans saying you're the 28th ranked team. Like this is your Stanley Cup. Sens fans are going at Leafs fans, being like you guys are soft and like Morgan Riley's like POS. I find it
yeah,
funny because like yeah, the Senators are 28th and the Leafs are fighting for a wild card spot. That's so
yeah,
funny to me because the Senators were supposed to contend for a playoff spot and they're 28th. And the Leafs were supposed to contend for the President's Trophy and they're fighting for a wild card spot. Like both your teams are ass. Like
yeah.
let's
No,
just be
100,
honest.
100%, probably. And that's the thing too. Like, this situation, like everybody's talking about it. It's a huge, huge deal right
Yeah,
now, right?
massive.
If you're the Leafs, you know how you like don't make this happen or like make sure Morgan Riley doesn't get injured or not injured, sorry, suspended. Beat the 28th seeded team.
Yeah, win the
Dude,
game.
this team, I'm not kidding. Like their top six, like their core, like it's good. They're overpaid, but they're good. They score every game. Like they're reliable. The difference between us and them is their bottom six is invisible. They don't have goaltending to save their lives. Their lives. Like I actually don't know. We could bring this up to like in another podcast too. Like I actually think like the Leafs window is like kind of done.
They have a lot of cap space this offseason. I'm waiting to see what they do with it. Um,
Yeah.
but man, they don't have a goalie and they don't have a defenseman outside of Morgan Riley. And their coach is apparently just awful too. So I don't know.
Sheldon Keefe saying that was appropriate. Like,
That
get a
guy's
break. That guy's such a
that
wimp.
guy's
He's
a
such a
bum.
joke coach.
That guy's a bum.
You know what the funny thing is too? Like, if that's Morgan Riley taking that clapper and Ridley Gregg goes to like hit him or like Claude Giroux goes to like take some punishment out on Morgan Riley, he's gonna be like, oh, that was a gutless play. He should be fine. Give him the book,
Mhm.
like that kind of thing. Like such a hypocritical thing to say. Like, it's just so stupid.
Well,
Um,
wow, we're at 50
but yeah,
minutes.
50 minutes here. I got to get going. I'm going to be late
R-
to multi-sport,
Wrap it up.
but
Wrap it up.
I'm going to wrap it up here. Yeah. So, like we said earlier, Canucks are going to finish their road swing here against the Blackhawks tomorrow on Tuesday. They have the revenge game Thursday against the Red Wings, and then hockey night in Canada against a team that finally is out of their losing streak in the Winnipeg Jets.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, so that'll be an interesting
Is
game
that
to
a
see.
7 p.m. start?
7 p.m., buddy. We're
Ooh.
home on Thursday against the Red Wings. Last road game is tomorrow against Blackhawks.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
nice. I'm excited. Okay.
Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the What the Nuck podcast. You could follow our Instagram and X or Twitter at What the Nuck Pod and our YouTube channel and TikTok at What the Nuck. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next week.